Hey everybody, Jonny Bowden coming to you from Southern California. I want to talk for a minute today about masks. Masks during the COVID, the subject that's on everybody's mind, and I want to talk about its relationship to something that goes on in nutrition and health every single day. Now you might think, what in the world could masks have to do with the field of nutrition? I'm going to show you, and I'm going to show you in a very short time. So I like to watch all points of view and listen to all points of view and really get an idea of what people are saying about any given issue rather than just listening to an echo chamber of my own beliefs. I went to school at a time when you were taught that you could never really hold an argument or take a position unless you knew the other guy's position better than he knew it himself. So I'm a big believer in getting both sides, all sides of any given issue. And there is a lot of controversy about the masks. So this morning I was going through the political spectrum on the TV, watching cable news, and I saw one interview on one of the stations with a guy when he was very, very significantly plugged in about individual liberty, and he didn't want to have to wear the masks, and he had a stack of research papers that he was showing to the interviewer, and he said, there's a stack of research showing that we don't really know if the masks are all that effective. We need more research. It's not a done deal. There's even a couple of studies showing that they can have the reverse effect if you don't use them correctly. So I do not really believe in the masks, and there's plenty of evidence to prove that. That's what he said. I turn on the other station, and there's kind of the identical argument saying the masks have been part of a strategy that has brought numbers down when they didn't use the masks. This is what happened. There's all this research showing that. Yes, we don't have perfect research on it, but there's good reason to believe it makes sense to wear the masks. Okay, this is what happens every single day when you decide whether or not to take a vitamin. Think about it. There are cases to be made that masks may not be that effective. There's a case to be made for that. There's, in my opinion, an even better case to be made for the fact that they probably do something. But here's the point. We always have to make a decision, whether it be about whether to take vitamin C, whether to do, kickboxing, based on incomplete evidence. We almost never have complete, inalterable, undisputable evidence for anything. We're always kind of weighing different sides of the story. Now, when it's something so public and so obvious and so enormous as the whole COVID thing and the mask thing, everybody's paying attention to it. But when you think about it, it is no different than you making a decision about whether or not to take fish oil. And you go to some doctors and they say, well, we've got studies that show it doesn't prevent this and that doesn't prevent that. And then you go to the people who know about fish oil and have studied fish oil, and there's a ream of studies that show that it does this, that, and the other. And basically, you can pick a side, and there is evidence to support that position. If you ignore the evidence on the other side and you just cherry pick the evidence on your side, whatever side that might be, you can make a case. And I think it's good to think of this evidence, whether it be about masks or taking a vitamin or taking fish oil or doing a certain exercise routine. It's good to think about all evidences in sort of four categories, A, B, C, D. There's A, which is like nobody disputes, it's 100% true. You need oxygen to live. You need to drink water. Smoking causes cancer. That's the A list, right? There's no disputing any of that. Then there's the D list. This is just garbage stuff that's made up. Red fruit has some magical substance that, if you put a crystal on it, you'll see it. That's the made up stuff. That's the nut job stuff. Most evidence is B's and C's. And they are hard to sort out, really hard to know, like what's true and what's not. So this is the thing about decisions, whether they're masks or vitamins. You look at the downside and you look at the upside. So with masks, there's a downside. They're pain in the ass. Nobody likes them. It disrupts the social flow. Yeah, got all that. It's pain to keep them on. Small downside, if the upside is a small tick down in transmission, which that appears to be. It may not be the biggest thing we ever saw, but there's a contributor effect of doing these three basic things, social distancing, wash your hands, and wear the mask, right? What's the upside of not wearing the mask? You get to feel free for a minute. It's not really that big of an upside. What's the downside of not wearing it? The downside is transmission, both going and coming, could be increased, maybe just a small amount, but a small amount. given that the downside of wearing one is so small, you make the intelligent decision to wear the friggin' mask because there's really no downside to it, and there's considerable upside even if it hasn't been proven 100%. And it's the same thing with taking vitamin C or taking fish oil or any of the other nutritional decisions we make every day. There's a ton of evidence to support any side you want to take. But we cannot avoid making intelligent determinations based on what we do know, which is almost always incomplete, almost always in that B or C category of evidence, right? But we're smart people and we have common sense, even if a lot of us have been kind of taught to just leave it at the door and just trust the experts. We do have common sense. We can connect the dots. If we see, for example, that fish oil is anti-inflammatory in every test tube it's ever been studied in, and we can see that it seems to lower blood pressure in most populations, and we can see that people who eat more fish live longer, we can connect the dots and say, you know what, there is no downside to fish oil, let's take it. And that's the kind of decision making we have to apply to everything that we do. We look at it, we weigh it, including the non-rational parts of that equation, like our feelings about it and our desires, and if it's in congruence with our values. All of that stuff gets folded in to a decision, but the decision is always made on incomplete evidence, on the B's and the C's, and we need to learn to start trusting ourselves and our instincts to make those determinations, to connect those lines, and to make decisions based on that. So, wear a mask and take fish oil. This is Jonny Bowden. I hope you like this. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. Let me know what else you'd like me to talk or rant about, and I would be happy to answer them on these videos.